there, it's Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are
Hard to master,
such as
Books of Time by Board and Dice.
Books of Time is a game in which you are going to be writing books about time. And with this game, you are going to have 3 of these metal binders that actually do open up, and you will be writing pages into these books, slotting them in so that you can do the actions that are on them, flipping over the pages, gaining resources, using those resources to add more pages into your books. And the theme with this game is that you are trying to write basically an encyclopedia of everything that's happened in life, whether that be in literature, history, science, advancements, big events throughout time. And you'll kind of pick up that through the artwork on some of the pages and what they mean and what they've added to life and history. But each page is going to have its own action that you can be able to do, again, to gain those resources. You will be then eventually using all of that to gain points in this game, going around the track on the outside of this board, and whoever has the most points at the end of 16 rounds is going to be the winner. And those rounds are kept track on this book over here that will give you extra actions throughout the course of a round. So that's the brief idea of what this game is all about, the theme and goal with this one. We're going to share our thoughts on it, and as we share our thoughts, we'll explain a little bit about the details of the game, but more so we are just going to share our thoughts and opinions on this game and give you a score at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So, Jeremy, one of the things that I like the most about this game is that you are using these actions to add in pages to your books, sort of like a deck builder experience, because in a deck builder you're getting these cards that you will then eventually use on a turn to get you resources or let you do certain things on your action. And that's the same idea. You may not just cycle through all your cards as frequently as you would in a deck builder, but you are using these pages that will then ultimately get you a step closer to a bigger, more powerful turn, to which you just kind of unload an explosion of points on maybe 2 or 3, 4 turns every so often throughout the course of the game. And that's something I really like about this game, building up to those moments and getting a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot of points at the beginning of the game. You're going to use those points because points are also a resource. So you do have pens, paper, files, points, and your pages that are in your kind of row here are able to be spent to gain more resources or take different actions, including moving up track progression. So you have 6 actions in the game. They're going to be things like activating pages, writing those pages, spending the resources based on where they are in your row. You can turn pages, which will give you the immediate benefit just like you wrote it, but could also get you in a place that would help you for some in-game objective scoring if with the yellow book, if you can turn those pages to the right ones, or you just want to turn them so that you can get to other actions that are on pages you have behind. Now, in addition to that, you can advance on this track, spending resources to move up the track that you would like. In addition, you can draw from this offer here, which is kind of like a market. You can take from the top, but you can also spend 2 points to kind of cycle that, wipe it, and put new cards out there, pages that you could, draft to your board by drawing. So you have all these different actions that you can do. Which ones are the ones that we think are the most beneficial? I'll tell you, for me personally, in all my games, I've not closed the book and I've not turned the pages. I've activated pages. I've written a bunch of pages and not really used them for actions, used them more for maybe an in-game scoring here, getting to the top of the track. That's definitely a strategy you don't want to neglect. And then getting them for these objective tiles is very important. You will be drawing a bunch of cards, and the Chronicle event will allow you to gain resources occasionally, or different pages, or even write those pages based on what comes out, because there's going to be 16 random cards, 8 are still in the box, so your game should be somewhat varied. I doubt that you would have the exact same. If you're shuffling them, one of those cards should be out for the next game. ultimately the game's 16 rounds. So it's a heavy resource management game. To me, I know you said deck building. Yes, you're gaining these cards and you're not cycling through them as much, but I'm gaining these cards, yes, for actions, but more for the in-game objective of in-game scoring. The main thing, though, is that resource management is super strong because you have to have resources to take actions, and you can't trade just to trade. You have to have an action to do that, or have a chronicle event that allows you to do that before or after your turn, not in the middle. So there's a lot of that. It's super strong to me as a resource management game. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a gimmick. You know, you have this book and that's a gimmick. Whenever I first heard about it, I thought, that's a cool little thing. But I'll tell you this, after playing it multiple times, I can tell you, I just find that it's very refreshing and an innovative way to do that. I always applaud innovation, even if it's a game I didn't enjoy. However, this one I did enjoy because of that resource management element. It is super strong in finding a way to not only get those pages in so I can get these points, but moving up that track because I have the resources I need, or I have the pages that I found that will allow me to do that. Now, I will say real quick, this is a game that has varied cards. And when you look at these cards, you're going to have 3 different things on them. You're going to have a color, an icon in the middle, and an action. So as far as the game goes, most of your time is figuring out which card you want to take from the draw, because yes, I do want that color, and yes, I do need that icon, but I also may want to keep someone strategically, keep them from getting the cards that they need. I can also...
And that stinks.
I can also be stalemated because there could be these 2 green cards, both with the treasure map, but they have a different action. So really, I already took a card that I needed. Now I'm taking a second one, and one came out, and I'm like, oh, I can't decide which one of those 2 is better. So you have a real push and pull with that. I feel like a lot of your time, it's not a super long game. Your first game will be longer because there is quite a bit of iconography, and some of it has to do with specific colors. Others have to do with any color of that
This
book.
can be any color
And
going
so
on any track.
There's some similar icons that can take a minute to decipher through, and there's a lot of it in the beginning, especially when you're looking at the pages. But after you start to figure it out and get used to the resource management of trading this to get this to do this, you can have some big turns, but a lot of it, like Lance said, is a build-up that you're going to get after about 3 or 4 turns.
But what I will say to the length of the game that I find to be, I mean, not that longer games are problematic, but this game feels like it should be faster than what it is, or at least in my opinion, because it's not a super heavy game. The complexity lies with the iconography, but and maybe the difficulty of doing well in this game, managing the tight resources and figuring out the puzzle each round of how can I get that last page or that last pin or whatever resource it is that I'm needing, figuring out that puzzle, manipulating the books to work to your advantage on every turn. Well, each player is doing that with all 3 sets of books that they have as well. And that can make for lengthier turns at times. Jeremy's exactly right. There's going to be some times where the turns are just real quick, lightning quick. But then there's going to be those moments where, okay, now I need to really kind of think through this to figure out how am I getting that last resource to be able to do the thing that I really want to do. And that's true in a lot of games. You're going to see that in a lot of games. It's just with this manipulation of the pages and looking through them all, and that could add a little bit extra time to a turn here or there throughout the course of the game.
Most of your turns, you're going to plan what you're going to do. So you're going to be able to plan out, even though the first players had their turn. The only thing that really changes for you is the offer. So the rest of your actions are going to be the same, maybe a chronicle event, but usually that's a benefit that's going to give you something most of the time.
But sometimes
occasionally you may spend something and you may be like, okay, well now which one do I want to do? Everybody else would have a little bit more time, but most of your actions you should be planning. So
but sometimes it's really important about where you get it in your book, and that's something.
The yellow is the only one that matters unless you want to do an action before you do it, then
That's-
you can spin
very
another
likely.
you can spin another round.
But
there.
then it might be out of the market by that point.
No, you still want to get it in your row, but you don't write it then.
Yeah.
I think that's where your error is. You can always take cards. So even if I'm full, I can take a card and discard the.
What if I don't want to lose that
Well,
card?
you should have planned better because now you're just wasting time with actions. But you can, like, there's times where you just draw, so you can make sure you have the cards for those sets. If you don't, that was your fault, and you're not going to be able to really get it done chancing it on the Chronicle. The only real lucky part, as far as to me, is they're unique cards, and when they come out, that can be very swingy if someone's taken a certain type
that
or
can happen. And one of the I like this game. Don't get me wrong. I really do like this game, and you'll see what I have to say on when I say my score on it. But the other con that maybe I have with it, maybe the biggest con is that I know this looks like a lot of cards, but the reality is that there are times when you need a specific card. Like, for instance, I need an extra green heart here to complete this bottom goal.
Might not get it.
And you may not get it because there's only maybe 3 of those in this deck.
No, I think there's 4 of each type.
Oh, okay, 4, but that would
I
mean
may
in a
take all
4-player
4
game,
just so you can't get it.
exactly, and people can do that and completely
You guys
block you from
adjust
being able to
strategy,
do that.
man. That's
But
strategy games.
there's maybe 1 or 2 many things in the game that can play out that way, that you need this one specific card, and it just may never come up in the deck when it's viable for you to be able to take it.
You know how many history books there are? It ain't always easy.
I'm just saying, I think for a game that has such tight resources, to have that be another layer of restriction.
I don't feel like resources are tight though, because you can see a person with 8 pins and
you definitely
8 paper.
can.
I don't think the resources are tight. I think you can gain them.
It ebbs and flows.
It's just you have to have the right engine with the cards,
Yes.
or flip them to get to what you need, because your starters usually are gonna like over here in green, you're gonna be getting more stuff by spending things, like pages and things. So
Right.
you definitely want to feed into that, because if you do, like I've done at times, you just get cards that let you move up the track, which I did quite often in my last game. Is I didn't have a lot of those to get the pins or to get this paper, because without flipping back, which I don't like to close a book. I mean, I never finish books really though. So,
what does that say about you?
ADHD or something, but I occasionally finish, but not all books. So, but you have to plan for that. I feel like this is one, because that resource management is so strong. If you're not planning and managing those resources well, you're gonna have a turn or two where you just didn't. And especially
if you fall
if you
behind
go,
in this game, it's hard to
especially if you
find how
go
to get
into
back
those
into it.
yellow cards. If you go into those yellow cards and I'm gonna get this boat first. That boat card sucks. You're not gonna be able to use it. Why? I've done that in the game, and I went heavy into it because of those 24 points. My eyes lit up. In-game player here. That was a bad decision, because yes, I was able to achieve those 24 points, but I wasted so many actions
so many turns
because I got the horrible yellow cards and not the good ones, and that can happen.
Well,
so
I do want to talk about the things that I like about this game, because there are a lot. And for me, the thing about it, obviously it has table presence, it has innovation to it, it has uniqueness and flair to it. And man, even if you think these are a gimmick, you can sit here and play with these things. People might get annoyed with you doing that, but that's fun in and of itself, just opening it up and being able to write these pages and put them in your book.
Y'all didn't do that with your Trapper Keepers back in the day, man. I do this all day.
I enjoy that aspect of building up. It's not necessarily an engine, because I may really only use it one time, but I enjoy that building up of getting to a moment in the game where I can have an explosion of points and have this really powerful turn, and boom, I jumped 15 points ahead of everybody, and now I'm working towards the next little bomb that I'm going to blow up with this red book here and get 15 more points.
I think the
there.
engine is not just one book. I think the engine is how you set up all 3 books.
Sure, yeah.
And if you can line up them to have the cards that really play off of each other, whether if you want to go heavy on the track progression, you're going to try and get red, yellow, and green cards that let you move up tracks. If you're trying to just get a bunch of resources to ride all the time and get more books, you're going to want to feed into those. And I think that's where I said you're going to spend a lot of time is when you're getting your cards over here, because you don't want to get cards that suck and you just waste them because you're trying to complete an objective. And so then you just, I need to turn a page, or I did part of this action just so I can flip it.
If you do that too many times in this game, you can fall behind, and you're banking on other people making mistakes to let you back into the game, because it can be a difficult game once you've fallen behind and not played this out and managed this out well, to then later on try and figure it out and hope that you've still got enough time to get back into the game.
Don't feel discouraged if you're using your points and you're in the back, because you can, if you've done well with the tracks and the tiles, maybe not completing the last level, all 3 tiles, but you've moved through, some of it to get some heavy in-game scoring, and you can come way, 20, 30 points from behind and win if you've done things really well for an in-game. So
let's get to our scores for this particular game. I'll start first and let you guys know that I'm at a 7.5 with this game. I've already shared a couple of the things that may be misses for me with this one. That primarily being that I'd like for there to be less of specific cards, like exact cards that I have to have in order to do well. You see that in other games, and I'm not a huge fan of it in other games, and I wasn't a huge fan with it here in this game. I would like there to be alternate paths to be able to complete certain things, even if somebody's hate drafting me, or I would like for there to be a bigger penalty for somebody to hate draft. Because that can be an issue at this game. Somebody could just hate draft and take what and because they can still get something from it. They could still use the action or the resources that they get from writing it into their book. So there's not a huge penalty to stop them from doing it, even if it doesn't really fit into their overall strategy of what they're doing. So that's my biggest con with it. But my biggest pro with this game is figuring out those little puzzles along the way that lead to the bigger turns. And that happens it happens frequently throughout the game. You're using 1 or 2 turns to get you to that third turn where you're doing something really big, and then it's the next one. How do I figure out how to get the resources that I need? Figuring out those puzzles is a fun experience. So all in all, I'm a 7.5 with this one.
He knew my score. This is the second time we've had to film this, so I went first last time, and I'm at a 7.5 also. I like this game. I really like that they went with a very innovative way to do resource management. I will say, if you are looking for a medium game where you're really dealing with the push and pull of resources, this one's really going to do that. Placing the pages in here, like I said, moving up the track. I like how the track works, how some spaces will let you advance others, also giving you points. Now, you will want to balance out, do I take the points or the action, or do I want to discard one of these tiles so that my newest revealed tile will give me more points at the end? And ultimately, if I did that green one there, that saves me 6 points. So am I gaining more here, or is this a good time to get rid of it? So I like that there's a really interesting way with that. My biggest thing is, like most card games, is there are unique cards, and when you have those and they come out randomly, even if I can spend 2 points to wipe it, doesn't mean I'm going to see the cards I need, which, yes, I need to adjust my strategy, but if someone's getting what I feel are much better combo of cards and allowing them to complete their stuff better, that's still the luck in the draw, as they say. So, which is a totally different meaning for luck in the draw, but we're going to use it here because we're talking about games, not quick draw. So, Trapper Keepers, Western, what other thing am I not including into
we've
this
covered
thing?
the cliches.
So I do like the Chronicle, just an added bonus, and you can do it before or after. I like that you can activate the pages, which one. So I feel like there's some really good synergies that you can get going based on your strategy, and it is a really nice, unique thing to put that page in and use it when you can, but you're not going to use all those pages that you write. Usually you're just going to use them more for the scoring aspect.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Restrictive at times. Sometimes you can't do actions, but ultimately you wrote that page. So horrible writing. Get better.
Man, the puns and the cliches.
Is that fun? Is that cliche? I don't know. But yeah, so I'm at a 7.5 also. I really like this one. I like that they came up with this and put it out. It's something different. And, and it, for me, it's not
definitely
it's
something
not
to
a
be applauded.
10, but I really appreciate that it's a different kind of game. And it's not the same old that most people put out, board, cards, this and that. They went with something new.
Boards and dice.
Not to say they don't do that stuff, but this one was a nice, refreshing change. And even if I don't like games, I do applaud quite a bit innovation and production. And this to me really hit that. So 7.5 from me as far as gameplay.
And I'll be clear, I definitely do want to keep playing this. It's not a game that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done. It is a game that I still want to hit the table and play here and there and get to see everyone else's experience with trying to figure out those puzzles too.
See how many times you can lose?
Well, yeah, because I don't win this game, but I have fun playing it.
It's all part of history.
Yes. The game is Books of Time. It is from Board and Dice, and we do want to be clear, we did receive this as a review copy, so we do want to thank them for that, but we did give you guys our honest opinions on this, both good and bad. So leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this particular game, and we'll try to get back to those comments when we get a chance. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master. We take a look at games that are
Hard to Master.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.